Hi. Um, so, this is a little awkward to make, but this video is going to be about Monster High, which is something I've never talked about on this channel before. So I wanted to put my opinion out there on G3. It might be a little outdated now, I don't know. It's been a real hot minute since I've been in the Monster High fandom. I don't think I was ever really in the fandom, but okay, childhood lore here. When I was really little, my family members used to get me a lot of Monster High dolls. I fucking loved Monster High, dude. Like, Monster High was the best dolls I had ever played with when I was little. Because they weren't Barbie. I hated Barbie. I hate Barbie because they have no articulation. What's the point of making a doll if they have no articulation? Anyways, but I grew up with Monster High. I thought Monster High was just chef's kiss. One of the best things I've ever seen in my life. I remember my aunt, yes, I pronounce it aunt, get used to it. Ant sounds like the insect, and I hate ants. Because one bit me when I was 5, and ever since then I've hated them. Basically, my aunt, I remember, I was sitting at my grandma's countertop, and my aunt brings me, no, I just said aunt, whatever, the pronunciation is gonna vary. As my aunt, whatever, brought me a Cleo Denial doll. At least I think her last name was Denial. I'll say Cleo because I remember that. And I was, like, it was G1 because that was the generation I grew up with. Generation 1. That was some good shit. That was some real good shit. And I was so happy. She was my favorite doll, and now I don't know where the hell she is. My dad probably threw all my Monster High dolls out, and I would fucking cry if he actually did. Anyways, I collect Rainbow High now, so I guess it doesn't really matter, but I would like to have those dolls just for sentimental reasons, considering they don't sell them anymore. Anyways, I'm assuming I had, like, the 2015 version. Anyways, this is a complete tangent. I don't like G3, if you couldn't tell by whatever I tell this video. I don't like the dolls, really, and I'd be willing to give the new show a try if I didn't know that it already sucked ass. But I think I just want to get my opinion out here on, like, some of the, sorry, on, like, some of the forced, like, LGBT-ness in it. Before you call me homophobic just now, I am bisexual. I'm sorry, I have to bring that up every time I talk about LGBT matters. If it wasn't painfully obvious enough, I've very clearly always been bisexual. Even though last year I was a closeted, a homophobic mess over there because I was really fucking insecure. But yeah, so I'm just putting it out there before everyone starts calling me homophobic and stuff. I mean, even nowadays people would find a way to cancel me for being bisexual. You can cancel anyone for anything nowadays. Anyways, I just want to put it out there. Specifically, I don't like Cleo and Frankie. That's just, If I remember correctly, my memory may be a little fuzzy here, so, like, correct me if I get anything wrong. Because, once again, when I was in the Monster High, I was, like, maybe, like, 6. You know, I was growing up with Monster High dolls and, you know, some of the show. Yeah, I have a flag right here. I might show you that, actually, if I won't have to set up my tripod again. I'm sorry, this is a complete tangent. Oh my god. Anyways, I think you already know if I haven't deleted all the videos of me going over this kind of stuff last year, considering I was a piece of shit last year. I don't like it when people take straight characters and then magically warp them into being LGBT in some way. Because honestly, it just feels like a fucking slap to the face. Like, my opinion has always been if you want to make an LGBT character, make a new character and have them just so happen to be LGBT and don't make that their entire personality. And the thing is, I feel like that's what a lot of people have been doing to their characters recently. And, you know, it just feels like a huge slap in the face, you know? Because making Cleo magically bisexual isn't representation. It's like, that is really kind of offensive, in my opinion. Because, you know, as a bisexual myself, I don't feel represented when I see a straight character magically become bisexual for brownie points, you know? It pisses me off a lot. Just make a new character and have them just so happen to be bisexual. Don't make their entire personality revolve around it and stuff. I also hate how most LGBT characters in media nowadays are portrayed as Mary Sue's. Like, because it's like, there's no flaws to them anymore. There's no flaws to, like, any character nowadays. it's so weird. I can't enjoy a show nowadays because every character that's LGBT is just a fucking Mary Sue. It's like the worst writing imaginable for these characters. It's just can you please write a good character for the love of God? I don't get it. But back to Monster High again. So they decide they'd ship Cleo and Frankie. At least I think they're planning to ship them from what I've seen. You know, they're having those moments together. Also, I know that Frankie is apparently non-binary now, which is also just flew like a freight train flying at 5,000 miles per hour, because apparently this freight train can fly into my face. This is me, this is the freight train, came out of absolutely nowhere. Again, I don't understand why we're just magically making characters non-binary and bisexual and stuff. I mean, go off, I guess, but like, can't you make a new character just so happens to be non-binary? I don't get this. I don't understand why we're doing this. I know it's for brownie points, but okay. Anyways, just know I'm going to be referring to Frankie with she, her pronouns because that's the Frankie I grew up with, and honestly, I don't want to give in to this bullshit oh, we're so accepting. Look, we made out one of our original characters who was originally a straight female into a non-binary bisexual. It feels really forced, honestly. Anyways, there's like no chemistry between Cleo and Frankie at all, because in the original series, if my memory is serving me correctly, they hate each other. Cleo was a fucking badass. I loved Cleo. She was easily my favorite character because god damn, she was sorry, that got really aggressive real quick, but I loved her. And in this new series, she's just like a Mary Sue. You know, it's not Cleo at all. It's just, I love you. I love your brains. I love your brains. It's okay. That isn't the Cleo I grew up with. And I've seen the argument a lot that, oh, well, G3 isn't supposed to be like G1. It's like, I understand that, but you should at least keep the characters consistent with their original characters, you know? Because I don't like it when writers just, on a whim, change the characters completely and turn them into different characters, because at this point, at like that point, you just make a whole new character. Like, the difference between G1 Cleo and G3 Cleo is so, like, you know, I almost said Jurassic, whatever. My English is failing me today, if you couldn't tell. That's like they're not even the same character anymore, so I don't see a point in making a whole new character and just labeling it as Cleo Denial, and this is not the Cleo Denial I grew up with. So that's just obnoxious, but I feel like this ship really came out of left field, considering, if I'm correct, Cleo was dating Deuce, or how you pronounce his name in the original series. And just magically making Deuce, or however you pronounce his name, I'm sorry, it's been a hot second since I've watched Monster High. Imagine just magically disappears, like, off into a distance where we can't see him anymore, and just having Frankie and Cleo date, even though they despised each other in the original generation, in, like, G1, it just makes no sense to me. And I don't know, I just don't like a lot of the changes they did in G3, because it just, again, they feel like completely different characters, and there's a lot of forced representation. And again, my bisexual, ugly ass, neurodivergent, stupid fuckface self, doesn't really like it. I know a lot of other bisexuals and any other sexuality really can agree with me on this. A lot of us don't like it when, you know, you take a straight character, just magically make them some strange, like, not strange, but like some other sexuality that they weren't originally, because instead of feeling like actual representation, it feels like, guys, look, we're so inclusive! We're so inclusive! Give us your money. We don't actually care about the LGBT community, just give us your money, because we're so inclusive. We care a lot about you. Again, it feels so forced. It actually pisses me off so much. I haven't made that clear enough already. I didn't really mean to start going on tangent. I wanted to stay on topic, but again, I don't know a lot about Monster High anymore. I probably will give the show a chance. It just doesn't really seem like my type of thing anymore because it's all the forced representation. But I want to tackle the topic of, you know, forced representation again. Just in any show in general, it's not like, I don't Obviously I don't agree with it. I wish writers of shows would just make new characters and just have them so happen to be LGBT. It doesn't even just go for LGBT, it goes for any other like minority at this point, like black people. I don't want to touch on that too much, but have a character just so happens to be black. For example, there was a series I had watched. It was called like The Dragon Prince or something, and it would have been a decent series if only they didn't shove a lot of things down your throat. For example, there were these two queens, and you know, it would have been all fine and dandy. But every time they talked about them, they had to mention it was two queens instead of one queen. It was two queens. Like they always had to mention that, and I think we get it. Two queens. I like it when a show just happens to have two lesbian characters, and then just doesn't like shove it down your fucking esophagus, you know? Because I don't like it when like representation is shoehorned into like my face, and a lot of people don't like that. That's how you make people homophobic, and if you're battling against homophobia, you probably shouldn't be making people homophobic. That's all I'm saying. Because the current like representation thing going on right now is so, it doesn't work. It just annoys a lot of people. Like, let's take the representation flag, whatever. I've heard the inclusive flag, I've heard the progressive flag, whatever. I'll just be going with the inclusive flag, I guess. Because, you know, my friend screams at me every time I say the progressive flag. Let's take that into account. So I would be fine with it. It's just, I don't know if the flag is supposed to represent all minorities, or just, like, it's supposed to be a new LGBT flag. I don't keep up with the trauma in the communities and stuff, because I'm not interested in that. I just want to live my damn life in peace. I just wish they kept it, like, if it is for LGBTs, keep it as a rainbow flag, because the point of the rainbow was it includes all. And honestly, putting trans and black people onto the LGBT flag just kind of defeats the point. Like, no hate to trans people, but I'm pretty sure there's a T in LGBT for a reason. Stands for transgender. So aren't they already a part of LGBT? Am I missing out on something here? Is there something I don't know anymore? It's just, this entire thing has gotten so confusing. And, you know, the world is an absolute mess right now. And, you know, a lot of show writers are going on and but like randomly changing their characters to be, like, you know, all inclusive and stuff. It's the same with making Disney characters who are originally white black for some reason. Just, why don't you write a story about a black person who just so happens to be black? Instead of, you know, just completely changing the character and then making everything revolve around the fact that the character was black. It's okay. And is nobody talking about the new, like, documentary on Netflix coming out about, like, Cleopatra or something, and them talking about how Cleo was black when she was Greek? Which doesn't make sense, because she was Greek. And to talk about her being, like, African American and stuff, when she was actually, like, historically probably olive in skin color, because that's historically how most Egyptians were. So that's great. So the forced representation isn't only affecting Monster High right now, which is the entire plot of this video, but I kind of went a huge tangent. Just, I mean, it still tackles the same kind of subject with forced representation and how I don't like it. I definitely strayed away from Monster High here. This is why I need to script my fucking videos. Anyways, but yeah, if you couldn't tell, I don't like forced representation. And the Monster High thing, really grinding my gears here. Really, really not something I enjoy. It's just badly written. For some reason, they've added a lot of, like, lore to it that wasn't, like, lore in the original, like, series. I don't know, it's just not the best. I feel like they could really do better when it comes to writing Monster High, and even just any show in general nowadays. They could definitely do a lot better on a lot of things. I just wish they kept, like, the characters more original to their original selves instead of completely changing the characters, because instead of doing a reboot of Monster High and changing all the characters, you could have made a brand new series with brand new characters and had those characters, you know, have their own personalities and their own like sexualities and their own genders and stuff. It wouldn't have affected anything because there'd be new characters. Or you could have added new characters to the Monster High thing and then kept the main cast, original to their original characters, which obviously would have been a better option instead of pissing off a lot of old school fans. And the only people I see who are actually happy about this are the people who get right up in your face on Twitter and then try to counsel you because you sounded like apparently you're homophobic for being bisexual or something, and yes, that's an actual thing that happens to bisexuals where we get called homophobic for not being like omni or pan or something, and I don't understand that. I don't want to get into that topic because that's an entirely different thing. But seriously, the only people I've seen actually like going, I love the new G3 generation, are the people who do that, or the people who go like, there's not enough black characters in Genshin. Okay. It's just, I feel like the current fandom surrounding G3 and Monster High is a horde of deer with rabies, and it's like, it's definitely a good way to keep the old school fans away if you're trying to accomplish that. But basically, Mattel, I think I remember Mattel making Monster High. It's been so long, I'm sorry, my memory isn't serving me correctly here. I don't think that's what Mattel was going for, but if they were going for that, then they've done a really good job at ruining Monster High. I wish they didn't do a reboot of the show at all, honestly, at this point. That's how I feel about a lot of show reboots nowadays, because there are a lot of reboots of a lot of shows coming out, and I don't like it, because I know they're just gonna ruin the entire plot of the show. I am deathly afraid of the fact that there was a small chance out there in the world that there could be a reboot of like Invader Zim or something where they completely ruin the show. I don't like the modern day reboots of anything because they just all suck so much. I think we should be leaving old shows in the past and letting that old show just kind of marinate and have people actually like that. And instead of grabbing that old show and, forcefully adding representation and stuff to it, we should just leave it be and then make an entirely different kind of show with entirely different casts of characters, because that would just be the better option. This doesn't only apply to Monster High. I'm just mostly at least I was mostly talking about Monster High, because for some reason that's the point of my anger right now, because I've been seeing a lot of Monster High stuff. Yeah, if you couldn't tell, I don't like G3. G1, best generation. G3 can suck my fat cock.